Hi, welcome back. If you're just watching this episode 33, you should, and you haven't watched episode 31 yet, you should go back onto my website, select videos, and then find episode 31. Click on that and watch that first. This is a continuation of episodes 31 and 32. Today we're going to do the fun part. Today we're going to add the ability to actually use curl to log on to the website and send a request for data for a stock symbol and for a date or date range. So we'll get to that right now. Let's not waste any time. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to write a function in line with the main program. We wrote a function right here, valid year, month, day right here, and we're going to put this new one in right above it. Okay, I like to keep things in alphabetical order if I can, so that's what we're going to do. And we're going to call this I called it get ticker raw data. Kind of long, but that really explains what it's going to do. Okay, and this is it's going to get the high, low, close, values, and the volume. Okay, I should be capitalizing these because they're important, right? All right, so that's what we're doing today. Okay, so yeah, high, low, close values and the volume. Data for a specific ticker symbol and can I fit supplied in here? A supplied, yes. Now this is going to be a date range, but we're going to use it just to get one day's data. You can always use this function to get a range of dates, a sequential range of dates. Okay, and so this is a function. Here we're going to put the code in, and it's going to get ticker raw. Now I'm saying raw data because we're retrieving a JSON record, which will have to be which we'll have to write a function or something to extract the pieces that we need and have them in the proper data type. So that's what I mean by that. All right. So we're going to pass some arguments to it, parameters. Okay. And that's going to be the, well, we need the symbol, the stock symbol. So that's going to be a constant. And that's going to be, let's see, what we're going to call it, symbol. And it's of type string. Okay. And then what are we going to pass it? We've got symbol. We're going to have the from date and the to dates. So let's put this on the next line or we're going to run off the edge of the screen. And this is going to be from date, I believe, yes. It's a string. Did I put S in front of symbol? I didn't. Well, it starts with an S, so we'll just say that's good enough to call it a string. All right, so now we're going to have the from date. And we're going to have a string, and it's the to date. All right. And I'm going to capitalize the D because I did it in the from date. Okay. Okay, from date and to date. And those are also strings. Now I've separated these because that first one, I wrote it as a constant, didn't I? Should I make these constants as well? I probably should because they don't get changed either. So I think I have to, would I have to put that in front of each one? I guess we're going to find out, aren't we? All right. And then we're going to have the output of this. One of the outputs is going to be S raw data. Okay, that's a string. So we'll just put string. Oops, don't use a capitalized string. String. Okay. And I don't need to put a semicolon on the end because that's the end. And this is a Boolean function. It's going to return a true or false. True meaning it was successful, false meaning that it wasn't successful. We had a URL that we go to for this. This is the in episode 31. I gave an example of how to use this service. It's a web service, and it's located at eodhd.com, which that's end of day. I don't know what the HD stands for. Probably something data. Historic data, maybe. I don't know. But at any rate, that URL is encoded to specifically retrieve stock symbol data, ticker symbol data. So I'm going to use that, and I'm going to call it a template. I'm going to call it a URL template. Okay? And it's going to be a string. And we're going to preset it. And it's going to have this string value. All right. And this site, you access it through a secure HTTP connection. So it's HTTPS, right? And then it's going to have a colon and 2 slashes. And then we're giving it the URL name, which is end of day eodhd.com. This would be just like you were typing it into your browser. And then it has, I'm going to put cheaters on here. Let's see. I have all this stuff written down here and I can't read it. All right, so it's API. The API is AP1. All right. Maybe I'll just start this string down on the next line. I have no clue why it's wrapping there. Well, I'll just put this whole string on the next line. Okay, so it's AP1, and then it's %sign S. This is where we're going to substitute the string in for the ticker symbol. And then they are suffixed with US for the US market. It's followed by a question mark. And then we're going to have the from date. So that's the word from and equals. And then we're going to have another %S, because this is where we're going to substitute another string in for the from date. And then that is followed by an ampersand. And did I put an ampersand in front of the from? No. I guess it doesn't need it. Oh, the ampersand terminates it. That's what it is. That's what it is. So we have the to date. That's going to have another %S, because there's going to be another string substituted in there. And then we're going to put an ampersand. And then we're going to give it the period, which is going to be equal to, that's preset to days. Okay. Okay, so after we specify the period, put an ampersand, and then we say API underscore token equals. Now, if you were paying for the service to get this data, you would put they supply you a special API token that identifies you specifically as using the service. And that token opens up how much information you can glean from their service. They have tiers, a certain amount of money, and you get a certain amount of data that you can retrieve. And you pay more money and you get more data you can retrieve. For example, like if you get only end of day data, that's a tier. If you want live during trading day data, that's a tier. There's about 3 or 4 tiers that you can purchase. So this tier is the demo tier. It's the one that you can use to just test things out. It's free of charge, but you can only access 2 or 3 symbols. That's all you can get. And it's strictly for you to test your software out, which is perfect for me in this case, because I'm not necessarily going to buy into this product. Although I've looked at it in detail, and it's an extremely good product. If you're tracking the stock market and very serious about it, this EODHD.com service, I think, is perfect. So we have the period, we've got the API token set. Oh, and now we have to tell it. So I'm going to continue this on the next line. So I'll put a little plus sign at the end there to indicate that this string continues. And then I'll continue the string here. So we had token equals demo, and now that's followed by an ampersand. And the next thing we have is the format. So FMT is the format we're requesting, right? And that's equal to JSON, J-S-O-N. So that's the format we're going to get the data retrieved in. And that's that. I'm going to space this down a little bit so it looks prettier. Okay, so now we've got to go back up in our uses clause. and we have to tell it we're using the curl library. Let's see, trying to keep it in alphabetical order. And what is that we use? Let's see. I think it's libcurl. Yeah, it's libcurl. So libcurl. We're adding that to our uses clause. Now libcurl is a wrapper to the C library. Okay, curl is written in the C programming language. So we're getting a wrapper that wraps that so that we can access it from Pascal. All right. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to establish, we got the constant established, right? We got to declare our variables next. Okay, and I'll just indent this constant thing here. Okay. And now we're going to have our list of variables right here. We're going to have a variable called curl. And this thing is a pointer to curl. And it's called a handle. It's like a file handle. File handles are pointers too. So let's just label this pointer to curl handle. Okay. And then we're going to have the URL string, right? So we're just going to have URL, right? And that's a string. Okay. And this is call this the URL accessing the web service. Okay. Okay. So we're done with our variables. You know, actually, I don't want to do that way. I don't want to do that way. I'm going to put that there. I'm going to put this on the next line. Like that. So I indent my variables. Okay, now this is the beginning of the function, and we have to have an end. Like that. All right. So let's see. Right here in the function declaration, we have this. We're passing a pointer, basically, to a string and that string is declared in the main program. So we're passing a pointer to that so that we can. This is where we send the data that is retrieved from the site back to the main program. This passes it back, okay? So upon entry, what we're going to do is we're going to clear that. So we're going to say raw data equals an empty string. So we just cleared that to nothing. Why don't I label here what this did? Clear output data buffer. How about that? Or a data string. I'll just call it a string. Okay, that's what that did. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to assume that this failed. Okay, we're going to assume that get ticker raw data failed. So I'm going to say the result is false. Okay? Assume function failure. All right? Next step is we're going to check to see if the symbol passed in, which is this constant right here. We're going to check to see if that is empty. So we're going to say if, I don't need that, if symbol is equal to empty, then exit. All right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to initialize that pointer to curl. So we're going to say curl equals, and then we're going to call this, the first of the curl functions. And this is called curl easy init. And it doesn't get past anything. So it's an empty parameter list. Now we have to check to see if curl initialized. Okay, so we say if curl is equal to nil. In other words, the pointer is null, it's a 0. That's bad, because that means our function did not initialize. We don't have a handle. So then exit. Okay, it's another failure point. All right, so now we're going to have to format our URL string. Right, so we're saying format the URL string with the data passed to get ticker raw data. All right, so that's what we're going to do now. So we're going to say URL is equal to, and now we're going to use the format function, which returns a string, and we're going to pass it the URL template. Now that's this string that we have up here. It's a constant, right? And that template expects this %s, that expects a string here. That's the first element. The second element is another string. All right. And the third element is this one. So we have 1, 2, and 3 %s's in here. The symbol, the from date, and the to date. Three things. All right. So we have to pass it 3 things. So I'm going to pass it first. It's the symbol that came in from the function parameter. One of the parameters is the string. So that's the next thing that's going to get substituted into our template. Now all the arguments have to be enclosed in these square brackets. So we need that, and this will be the end of the function call right here. So we're going to pass it what? Symbol. All right. And then we're going to pass it the date, the from date and the to dates. So that's Yeah, right. So we're going to send the string from date and the string to date. All right. And that will flesh out the URL. So our URL is now created at this point. Next step is we're going to actually kind of as a debugging thing, since we're just doing this the first time here, and I don't know if that's going to work correctly, right? So let's output this to the screen, to the console when it's running, and that way we can make sure that the data is right. So I'm going to write URL equals and then I'm going to write the URL. Yeah, like that. Okay. We're just going to say display the URL on screen. All right. So display the URL on the screen there. That's a comment after that right line. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually now set up the curl going to actually set up the things we need to send this out to the internet. So we have curl. This is a function call to the curl library. We have curl, and this is easy, and this is set opt. And we're going to pass set opt the curl handle. You always have to pass the handle. And then we're going to say curl opt, that's all caps, underscore URL, and this is where we actually send the and we're going to tell it it's P character, it's a pointer to character, and then we're going to pass it URL. Well, we're not passing it. The P character is like a what is it in C? We're asserting that it's a certain type, and that we need to do that because we're actually interfacing to a C function call, so we have to pass that as a pointer to character. That's just something that you have to know to do. All right. So now we've set up the actual URL string that we're going to send. And we're going to be doing this a few more times. I'm just going to grab this to make this a little bit easier. And I'm going to hit Control C, and then I'm going to come down and hit Control V, and I don't have to type that every time. And actually, I should have included this. I should have included that in it because I'm going to have to type that every time. And, oh heck. Let's do that over. I'm going to grab, I think, curl opt underscore. There we go. I'm going to have to retype that many times here. So I'm going to do Control C for that. Come down here, hit Control V. Oh, that's going to save me a lot of typing. So the next thing is the write function. And then as a parameter coming back, we're going to have at write data. Okay. And get rid of that on the end. Okay. Next thing is write data. And this is the raw data coming back. Okay. So I believe this is S. We gave it what? It's S raw data. So that's what we gave it up above. So here in those square brackets, we're going to put in S raw data. S raw data. So that's the data coming back. And the @ sign in front is a pointer. Okay, it says that's the address of S raw data. Remember, we're calling a C, these are C function calls, so that's why we have to put that in. The next thing is we have to verify, they say we have to verify the peer. So that's the next step, is because we're making a secure call. We're using HTTPS. So we have to have a handshake go on here. It's verify peer, like that. So it's curl opt SSL verify peer, just as you see me, as I've typed it there. And we don't pass it, we pass it an empty argument. There's really nothing that you have to pass it as far as data. All right. And the next thing is we have to verify the host. So that's an SSL, and that's verify host. Okay. And by the way, these things that are in all uppercase, they're actually numbers that are defined in the curl library. So we're passing it the handle, and then we're passing it a number that tells it what we're trying to do. And then we pass it the data that it needs to do it. That's how that's working, by the way. So just so you know. So those were all settings. It actually didn't do anything yet. It didn't actually go out and do anything yet. Here's where we're actually going to do the job. So get ticker data. I guess it's get raw ticker data, right? I messed that up. Raw. Get ticker raw data is equal to, and here's where we actually make the connection and everything happens, okay? So now we're going to call this function curl easy, I've got to go back here. Curl easy perform. And then we just pass it the handle. And then we say curl underscore OK. So what did that do? So the curl raw data is Boolean, right? That's a Boolean function. So curl easy perform takes the curl handle, and it takes all the data that we set up in here, and it actually makes the connection and attempts to It verifies the peer, it verifies the host, it transmits the URL header to it, and if all of that worked, it comes back with curl OK. So this returns curl OK. So this is actually a conditional. So it's saying, was this curl operation, did it return curl OK? And if it did, that's true. So then it would set this to true. If that came back and it did not come back with curl OK, that's false. So this would get set to false. That's how that works. And we have one more thing we have to do before we exit this get ticker raw data function. We have to do a cleanup. And this is going to release any dynamically allocated data, including it's going to release the pointer, everything that's pointed to by curl gets released that needs to be returned back to the stack. So here we have curl, easy, oh boy, here we go, curl, easy, and this is called cleanup. All right, and cleanup, we pass it the handle that we got. That tells it what it's going to clean up. And that's it. At this point, we should have gotten what we were looking for. So now we have to add this new function needs to get added to our main program. So that will get put in here, right? So at this point, we're going to get raw data. So I guess I could enclose this in an if statement, right? If we got get ticker raw data, and then we got to pass it all our arguments. So I've got to send it, and it's expecting a symbol and a from date and a to date, and oh, I haven't got a variable for raw data yet, do I? I have to have, I'm going to call that raw JSON. I just, because it's a string, so I prefix it with an S. That's a string. Okay. So I've added raw, this is the data that's going to come back from that call, okay? I have to have that up there. So I call it, I've got to send it S symbol. And then I've got to send it S date. And I have to send S date twice. Once for the from and the next to the to for the to date. They're the same. And then I'm going to send it S raw JSON. That's the data that's going to come. That's the address of where the data is going to come back. And that's, oops, that's the end of the function call. I actually don't need to have an opening parenthesis here. Get rid of that. Okay, I get all that. And that's going to be Boolean. So it's either true or false. So I'm gonna invert this. I'm gonna say if this is not true, then we had an error, right? So I do a then begin. Woo, getting close to the thing, getting close to our margin there. Okay, so we're gonna write line. This is on an error. And we're just gonna say error in get ticker raw data. And I think that's sufficient. We just know we have a problem. That's all. So all it's going to do is just tell us we have a problem, and then of course it's an error, so we're going to just exit immediately, and that's the end. It's the end of that if statement. So we put our end in. Okay. What's the next step? Next step is going to be, we want to see if we got the data back. What data we got back. So we're just going to write, we're just going to output the JSON data to the display. And we just do that with a write statement, so we just do write line. Well, let's just label it. Yeah, that's what we'll do. So we'll just say raw JSON data. Output that. And then we will actually write the data on the screen. So we'll do a write line. And that's going to be just the data itself. So that's S raw JSON. It'll just spill that out onto the screen. And that's the end of the main program. So we're set. I wonder if this is going to work. Save it. FPC. And that's EP31 LPR. Line 10. You can't do it that way. So I think I have to put in here, oh, you know what I did? That's gotta be a colon. I think that's it, right? I think that's the problem. I put a semicolon in there. Let's try this again, see what happens. Few more bugs. Identifier not found on line 23. That's because that's S raw data. That's the problem there. I didn't put the S in. And curl easy set, it's supposed to be set opt, not C opt. So all these, I mistyped them all because I copied them, so. Takes care of that. Oh, I left a function out. This set opt is, it's specifying a function, the right function. And it says you have to have a pointer to the right data function. We've got to add the right data function. And this is where I can't do things alphabetically. At least I don't. Well, let me try it. Let's put write data function down here to see if I'm not sure that whether Pascal handles forward declarations. We're going to find out. That's what we're going to do. So curl, when curl is returning data from the website, it comes in blocks. And so what you have to do is you have to supply a function that expands the space for the return data. So in other words, that space starts off empty because we set right here, we set raw data to an empty string, right? So as the raw data is coming in and being added to, it has to expand that and make it bigger. And that's what the write data function does, okay? So we're going to have this function that's going to be called write data. And we're going to pass it members that are actually, that come from, the members come from the curl library. So I mean, a lot of the stuff we don't even know, we never declared it in our program. That's because it's actually declared in the curl library, okay? And that's what makes this thing kind of strange. And this function, it's a unsigned integer pointer. And we have to put cdecal on here because this is really a C related entity, if that makes any sense. In other words, this code's going to be formatted to handle connection to a C function. So that's what's going on here. And so we have a var, and it's a string. And now we begin. Right home. Now we do a begin. We have a begin, we're going to have an end. And now the body of this function is, oh, I didn't put the function parameters in yet. Better do that. Okay, so this is a pointer, and it's of type p character. It's a pointer to a character. And then we have member size, and then we have member count. And those are both unsigned integer pointers, right? Right. And then we're gonna, I think what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna put these on separate lines because it's getting kind of long. So that's those. And then finally we have variable data, and that data is a string. And this is why we had to have, this is why at the, when we, way up above at the top, we have this declaration, $H plus. This allows strings to grow to huge sizes. And when you're dealing with retrieving data from a website, the size of that string can be millions of characters. Because originally I was using this type of program to do a connection to Yahoo Finance. And I was trying to do web scraping, which I had referenced earlier in episode 31. I mentioned that web scraping is a disaster because every time they change the format of the page, it blows up your web scraping process. They change the names of things and now the scraper doesn't work anymore. So anyway, I added the okay, yeah, I added the write data function beneath the call to the get ticker thing. So we'll see if it'll see this. You know, might not. All right, so write data, what it's going to do, it's pretty simple. So the curl function, the curl call, supplies member size and member count. And the pointer is to curl, I believe, is it not? The call to write data that's actually a capital C. Yeah, it's supplying all this with the, is there any exception to that? Let's see here. I want to, oh, here we are, looking for the get ticker thing. Yeah, here's where we supply the pointer to raw data. So what I believe this is, I think write data, what it's doing is this pointer is to the curl handle. These are internal to the curl library. Member size is the size of each character. So that will just say 1. It'll supply the number 1. And member count is how many of those it needs. How many bytes it needs. So these are 2 integers. And then this data string is the S raw data pointer in memory to the string we're building that's receiving the return information. I hope that makes sense to you. It seems complicated. It seems more complicated than it should be. So in here anyway, what we do is we do a set string, right? And that set string gets Um, okay. We pass it S, which is this internal string. We pass it a pointer. That's to the oh, no, pointer is to the additional, I think that's to the additional data. And then we pass it member size, which gets multiplied by member count. Okay. Okay, so this is the new, this creates the new string. This is the additional data that came in from the website. And then it's taking data, it's taking the data we already had, and it's appending it to the end of that. That's a string concatenation operation. And then it's passing back. So this is an integer function call, right? It's an unsigned integer pointer, actually, cdecal. And we're passing back the size that was added. And so that's member size times member count. That seems kind of awkward, but, and that's it. So what we've done is we've created a temporary string, S. We've expanded it. We expanded its size. We gave it a size, and we copied the data from that was received from the website into it, and then we appended it to the data we already had, expanded it, and then we returned the number of bytes we expanded it by. And this function is just a requirement of the curl function. So I mean that we're just supplying a function that it needs. Okay? Okay. Now let's now that we've added that, we have to come back over here and try compiling it again, see if it'll work now. Okay. So as I suspected, we can't do, it will not handle forward declarations. So we have to take this data and we have to copy it in above this, okay? So that it's defined before we get to it, right? We're referencing it here, and now it's defined because it came before it. You see that? And that's going to get rid of these forward, that's going to get rid of some of these problems. Hopefully. So I got to save that. And now let's try compiling it again. Oh, no, I did put libcurl in here. It's saying member size is not found. Okay. is it saying that's not found? It's saying that's in line 14. Oh, member. Gee, Larry. That's member. Okay. Yeah, that says member. I misread it as member. Then 53, line 53, it's saying it doesn't know what curl underscore OK is. It doesn't know that. Oh, it's curl E. I mistyped that. Okay, let's recompile here and see what we got. I'm going to clear this screen. It's getting kind of cluttered. Okay, now let's try it. Okay, it compiled okay. So let's drag this out. And let's test it. So the program's called EP31. And one of the test symbols you can use is Apple. And I have to get yesterday's data. So that's 2025 dash 12 dash 04. Well, look at that. I got a pile of data back. That's not what I wanted. Okay, so our program echoed back this. That is not what I wanted. I don't know what on earth why I got this back. I got back a web page. So I must have something in error in this function call. And here's what I sent it right here. This is the URL I sent. You can see that this is the raw data that came back. This is a web page, okay? You see how huge the data is? It's gigantic. And this tag right here says this is the end of the HTML. That's the end of the HTML body. So I have something in error in my URL. I'm going to have to go back and take a look at that. Okay. Well, let's clear this. It's junk. And let's take a look at this URL, my URL template. That is got a problem in it. So here's the URL template. I gotta take a close look at it and see what I typed wrong. It's https://eodhd.com. That's all correct. API. Is that API? I have AP1. There's a problem right there. That's supposed to be API. Then it's supposed to be EOD. I don't have that in there. Then it's supposed to say end of day. Then it's supposed to be the symbol, the ticker symbol. I think the rest of it's all right. Okay. So that was the bug. We're going to have to recompile here. It says it's okay. And now we're going to have to send the request again, see what happens. Ah! It worked. Yay! So it sent the AAPL ticker symbol for Apple. It requested yesterday's information. This is the actual URL that got assembled and sent off to the site. This is a comment I throw. And then this is the actual data we received back. And so we got back a date, the open price, which was $284.10. The high for the day was $284.73. The low for the day was $278.59. And the close was $280.70. So they closed down for the day. This is the adjusted close, which is the same as the close. And this is the number of shares traded, the volume for the day, which looks like it was 43,942,500 shares. It worked. There's one other symbol you can use. It's called MCD. So let's get MCD for yesterday. And here's the return. Okay. It's working. Well, I think that's good enough for today. In the next episode, we're going to take this raw JSON data string and we're going to extract the data out of it. And then that will be, I think that'll be the end of the series, because from there, you can modify this to do whatever you want. All right. Well, guys, I hope you liked the content for today. If you did, click the like button. If you'd like to see more content like this, all you have to do is subscribe. Have a nice day.